Hello friends and welcome back to my channel. I'm reading today for Aquarius energy. Very curious to get into your reading, to be honest. These are kind of like smaller messages, but I'll get them out of the way first. So for some of you, there's like a vibe of, it feels like rebellion, almost like kind of like society rebelling or groups rebelling within like the framework of society, which is quite Aquarian, to be honest. But it's coming through with like it's like, I don't know, a little bit rock and roll or rock stars, that kind of thing. That could be something for you. Maybe you're going to a rock concert or something. Maybe you I don't know, play guitar or listen to a lot of rock and roll. Excuse me, that was really lovely. I'm so sorry about that. I've just ate like a bagel with loads of spinach, so like gassy. But yeah, it could be like you're watching the Elvis movie or something like that as well. But it's coming through with like nerds and rock stars. So it's like nerds are the new rock stars or something like that, or like people who are not mainstream society. So if you think about like mainstream society, like, you know, what's like not popular in terms of like what's trendy with the youth or anything like that, but like what most people enjoy. So like mundane, it's almost mundane, which is a very Aquarian energy, to find things that are common to be mundane. So it's then you get like counterculture. So rock stars like Elvis and people like that were originally kind of counterculture, right? They were rebellious, they were going against the grain. And then nerds as well. So if you think about like, sorry, I'm saying nerds because of the band N.E.R.D, which you'll find down in the description box below. This is kind of where this has come from. But like, you know, the meek shall inherit the earth, but it's like the geeks shall inherit the earth. So it's like, you know, like, because technology, and again, Aquarius rules technological development, so I'm not surprised that this should come through for you, but again, it could be a side message, so I'll kind of move on from this as quickly as I can, just kind of hold on if it's not your thing. But it's like, you know, like a technological revolution. So like, you know, Google, smartphones, it's like you have people like Bill Gates, or like, who's the guy who like made Facebook, or like the guy who's shooting rockets into Elon Musk, right? And you know, the guy who owns Amazon, like all these like really rich people who have suddenly become like the elite, like the new elite, right? So it's this thing about like nerds being the new rock stars, or like just counterculture in general, and kind of the rebellion of doing something innovative and new and different, which again, very Aquarian energy, so I'm going to kind of move on from that. You've also got something now for some of you. I don't know if you are in separation from somebody that you love, if you are if you've had some kind of a breakup, or you know, you're at a distance from somebody that you want to be with. It feels like maybe like testing the waters of a new relationship, or it doesn't even have to be romantic though. This is the thing. For some of you, it could be missing somebody that's passed on. This Empress, this kind of like sleeping Empress, kind of gives me like, it's difficult if this is your situation, but like coma energy, or somebody who's perhaps in hospital and they've been like, what's it called when people are kind of given drugs to make them sleep so that they're not in pain. I can't think what it's called, like an induced coma. Like it could just be for one of you, right? But it's like, it could be some of you, it's like somebody that's passed over, like a relative, or it's this feeling of like, it's coming through in different ways. So for some of you, it could be something where you're feeling like the distance between you and somebody else, and it's like this longing of like, I wish you were here with me. They're giving me like, I wish you were here by Pink Floyd right now. So for some of you, especially those of you who are close to Capricorn, because Capricorn had this kind of key message of like longing or like hunger. So again, it could be hunger for a person. It could be, because Capricorn's represented by like the devil in the tarot, it sometimes carries this feeling of like having to bear the burden of an addiction. So if you think, if you're addicted to something, and it could be addicted to social media, right? There's so many things that people can have addictions or obsessions about, but it's like not indulging that is like killing them, right? It's like, you know, they had this thing about like hunger hurts but starving's worse, which is not the line, but that's the way I heard it. It's like wanting so badly that it becomes compulsive or becomes obsessive because you're not having it. Sort of, it could, if we like dial it back a bit as well, it could even be something where like somebody's on a diet, right, and they're told you can't eat chocolate, you can't have biscuits, you can't have cake. Biscuits in the UK is like cookies if you're not from the UK. So it's like you can't have cookies, you can't have cake, you can't have sugar, you know, you're on a diet. And it's like not being able to have it makes you obsess about it more. Right, so like that's a lot of the time why people kind of like yo-yo diet and things like this, because they restrict themselves, think about it obsessively, and then can't resist it anymore, and then they kind of like splurge on it, so or overindulge or whatever. So a little bit of what you fancy is not necessarily bad for you is kind of the message with that. Excuse me, I'm so sorry. Why am I so burpy? So what else? Yeah, so that kind of like, it's coming through the Luke Sital sing song. Maybe some of you are singing a song, I don't know, maybe you're having a sing song, like a family get together with a sing song around the piano, something like that. But yeah, it's called Killing Me by Luke Sital Singh, and it's like, it's killing me that you're not here with me. I wish you could see. It's like, on to a certain level, some of you are kind of like happy, right? It's like, okay, that relationship didn't work out, I've moved on, I'm happy now. Or like, you know, we drifted apart. If this is like school friends, like we drifted apart, I'm happy, I'm living comfortably, but I wish that you could see like that I'm happy. If it's someone who's passed on, it's like, you know, especially if it's someone who passed on when you weren't doing well, right? Maybe they passed on when you were in a bit bad time of your life. It's like, I wish you could see me now. I wish you could see how I pulled myself together, and I like how I, you know, I got a good job, and I, you know, I got my degree and I earned some money, or like, you know, maybe you don't have any of those things, but it's like, I've got these kids and these kids are amazing, and I just wish that you could meet them. So it's really got this feeling of like wishing that someone was there. Others of you, again, take what resonates, leave what doesn't. I've got a few different things coming in. Others of you, and this is kind of like my favorite storyline, you've got this energy of like waking up and realizing that you're in love with someone. It's like, I don't know, maybe because this is always like the sleeping empress to me. It's like waking up. Oh God, is that the Lovers card? Yeah, look, you have got the Three of Swords, which is heartbreak, and the Two of Swords, which is like conflict, but then you've got the Lovers card. It's like, again, it's like waking up, and I don't know if you've had a dream about somebody, and it's like maybe you were really close in this dream, or maybe you have had a deep, meaningful conversation, or you were just like, I don't know, dreamt that you were in bed next to this person, and then you woke up and you were like, oh my God, I think I love this person. Others of you, it's like it could be something like where you perhaps finally got together with this person, right? Or you've had a bit of an on-off relationship, or you know, and a relationship that's just getting started, and you I don't know, I've got this feeling of like going up to someone on a dance floor and being like, you know, finally plucking up the courage to ask them to dance, and them saying yes, and then getting in bed together, and then being like, waking up the next day like, oh my God, I think I'm in love. So it's coming through a lot of different ways, so please do take it as it resonates and leave it if it doesn't. You could be dealing with a Taurus or a Libra, because the Empress card kind of showed itself. We've also got Sagittarius down here. So yeah, that's on the go. Now, I'm excited to tell you this, Aquarius, because I freaked out when this happened. So the Deer and the Empress, they just kind of caught my eye as the underlying cards as I was kind of putting them away, and I thought there's a story there with that. Now, it kind of looks to me like almost like the deer is peeking in. Like, I think I got this from Awakening to Spirit, this idea of like the deer is like peeking through like a clearing in the forest, or you know, poking its head through a window. It's like it's just peeking in as it's passing by. And then this Empress here, who the Empress is all four queens of the tarot. She's kind of like the ultimate human female. It can indicate like a mother as well, some kind of like boss figure, or just somebody that you've really got up on a pedestal. So again, this could be you and somebody is like in awe of you. But it's like, it's almost like giving me this little story of like the deer walking past and stumbling over this sleeping princess. It's like Sleeping Beauty or Snow White, right? She's like resting, and like, I don't know, like the deer is like curious about this Empress energy for some reason. Now, I was kind of getting through like Romeo and Juliet as well, you know, like you know, like Poison Apple with Snow White, or Juliet, where she has the thing to make it seem like she's dead, but she's not dead, like the poison. So I don't know, just be careful about what you're eating and drinking, you know, especially if it's like you're actually going out drinking. Don't overdo it, you know. You don't want to, again, it's that feeling of like induced tiredness in some sort of way. So just be really, really careful. But it's the deer to me, kind of, it is divine feminine energy. It's very, very gentle, it's very soft, it's very sweet, but it can be very naive. So I always talk about, well, recently the deer has been coming through as the inner female child. So it doesn't matter how you present to the world in terms of like your sex or your gender. I'm seeing a cat, it's climbing a fence, so I don't know, that could be symbolic. It kind of happened the other day as well. But it's symbolic for me of like, no matter how you present to the world, no matter how you see yourself in terms of like your sex or your gender, we all have masculine feminine energy within us, and this is representing the vulnerable feminine energy within us. So it's an energy that needs protecting. It's vulnerable, it's hunted, it's naive, it's to be protected, right? So the Empress, though, however, is a mature woman, right? She's not the Empress because she fell into it. She's the Empress because she has had life experience that has taught her valuable lessons. So it's kind of like the maiden and the mother energy, I would say. So it could be you and your child in some sort of way as well, especially because this always gives me like heart surgery and things like that, like heart trouble. So I don't know if somebody's possibly got something with the heart. It could also be a broken heart, you know, like when you're heartbroken and about lots of different things. It could just be watching a movie, right, that's like really sad, and it's like you have to go and lie down and cry, or you know, it's like it exhausts, like the heartache exhausts you. That kind of reminds me of Capricorn's reading as well. So that was what was coming through. And then what really, really, I don't know, it could be like you, if you identify as female, with it being the Empress card. And again, we all have Empress energy within us, but again, like, just think about, no matter how you identify, it's like your feminine side, right? Needing to nurture your inner feminine, and recognizing when you need to take a rest, when you need to meditate and things like this. The only other thing that I've not mentioned yet is that I was watching a video on meditation, and excuse me, that's a bit noisy. I think that might be somebody I know. Is that somebody I know? Could be. But it could be, I watched this thing about watching a video about meditation, and every time, or just not every time, but consistently, they kept showing different images of somebody meditating under a tree. If you look at all this foliage that's around them, meditating under a tree, and gosh, that's really noisy. Because they were so peaceful, a deer was approaching them. So I don't know if this is like common symbolism of kind of, especially kind of like Eastern meditation, to be so peaceful that, you know, timid animals will approach you. There could be something like that. What was super duper curious to me, really curious to me, and really shocked me, and it's one of those things that I really wish would happen on camera, is when I shuffled my own personal deck, which is full of imagery and symbolism from when I do my meditation. What came out, and again, like, I couldn't believe it, was the deer. I couldn't believe it. I was like, no way. And the maiden. I was shocked. Now they did, I have to be honest, they came out this way around. But again, it could be like your own inner deer, right? Your own vulnerable, you know, your own vulnerability and your own timidness, and tending to that and nurturing it in the kind of motherly way. But yeah, I was really shooketh when those two cards came out, because I was like, I've got two cards on the table, nothing else was out at that point apart from, I mean, these were out, which again, you like, the star card always has this virgin or maiden, the water bearer, on that card. So again, this could just be indicating you. The star card, which is your energy, I got these out intentionally because they're Aquarian cards, just to kind of channel your energy. The star card is about hopes, dreams, feeling divinely guided. It's one of the most high vibrational cards in the whole of the tarot, and it talks about balancing out your, or giving equally in terms of emotion and practical nurture. So it's like, and nurturing yourself in this way, right? What are your emotional needs and what are your practical needs, and finding some sort of balance here with that. It also talks about divine healing. So the kind of healing that comes like from the soul, right? Deep within, like a deep soul truth, that kind of healing. The Hangman is another Aquarian card, and it talks about seeing something from a different perspective. Like sometimes you get a bit tied up in life. Sometimes, you know, your dreams and wishes are put on hold because you need that time to see something from a different angle, from a different perspective. It's like if you've been looking at this from, you know, the culturally approved perspective, it's kind of in the box thinking, where sometimes you have to be a little bit innovative, you have to be a little bit Aquarius to kind of see something and see the potential in something, or see the problems in something where nobody else is seeing that. So just to kind of talk about what those cards mean, but really these two cards were really speaking to me. And so for the fact for the Deer and the Maiden to come out and emphasize that, really impressive to me. However, I am going to say that there's a warning flag waving here, because the Deer to me and the Maiden are both very vulnerable energies. Again, they talk to me about young female energy, and the Deer can often be prey, you know, girls can often be taken advantage of. You know, I'm not saying that boys can't be either, but these are particularly feminine cards. So again, your inner feminine, a child or a female around you, perhaps, who is very sweet and innocent and naive, may need some protection. It's another way that I can read it is the Empress, because it's the sleeping Empress. This came out in a Libra reading once about doing almost like astral projection, or doing like a deep inner dive, right? So it's like somebody who is in a deep meditative state, and they're really having a vibrant inner life, right? And so it could be with the Deer, it could be talking about like a Patronus, like a an anthropomorphization of no, the other way around, an animal leap, I don't know the word. An animal taking the place of a person, so the opposite of anthropomorphization, however that is. You know, like a spirit guide, a spirit animal, something like that. A little bit like Harry Potter and the Patronus, right? It's also making me think of a couple of different myths from classical culture. One of them is the myth of Iphigenia. If you look at Iphigenia at Aulis, Iphigenia was a princess. She was Agamemnon's daughter. She was being sacrificed at Aulis in honor of, well, basically to this priest who was very questionable said, if you sacrifice your daughter to the gods, you know, we'll have favorable tides and we'll be able to, all the men will be able to go to war, yay! So it is a story where a woman was victimized for the men, and it is a problematic play, and there are scenes in that where, you know, other characters like Maecenas and Odysseus do question Agamemnon's decision to do this. And they question the validity of the priest as well. However, at the end of that play, Artemis comes in, and in a big like puff of smoke, she replaces the maiden with a deer. You know, she actually takes Iphigenia to be part of her. So Artemis is a female goddess. She's a huntress goddess. She's the goddess of the moon, and yeah, she's kind of a virginal, like a wild face, but a virginal maiden goddess. So she took Iphigenia to be part of her kind of entourage, and she replaced the girl's body with the body of a deer, and the deer was sacrificed in the girl's place in that play, or at least in some versions of that play. Now there's another myth where it's again going with this theme of the male hunter. And if you are coming to this and you do identify as male, I'm not hating on men, right? I'm not doing anything like that. I understand that men can often be vulnerable or be victims as well, and you know, women can be predatory. So again, just kind of take the gender out of it, as you know, where necessary. But I'm just talking about, it does seem to be, your energy reading at least seems to have some kind of, again with this ancestral wisdom, lay of the land, this looking back at history, this looking back at the inherited culture and the stories we're told and the definition of genders perhaps. But there's a lot of mythology, a lot of stories where, you know, young women are taken advantage of by predatory men. It's a theme, right? Let's say it's a theme. And yeah, so there's another story where there's Akateon, who is a hunter, and he's kind of, if you look at Ovid's Metamorphosis, he's kind of full of bravado. He's got all these dogs with him, and he's hunting, you know, his band of hunters, and they're out hunting deers, and I think other animals as well. And he stumbles upon, again, the goddess Artemis, who is bathing with all her little female entourage. There's a lot of very famous paintings of this scene, and he accidentally sees the goddess naked, right? So he's kind of a bit awestruck, and Diana, I'm saying Diana Artemis, depending on the myth, notices him, and she kind of curses him. She turns him into I think it's a stag, not a deer, but immediately the dogs start hunting him because the dogs are trained to hunt stags. So when she turns him into a stag, the dogs are like, they don't recognize their owner, and they hunt him and tear him apart. So it's kind of like fated, right? It's kind of like you know, you get what you give, like, is the moral of that story. You know, the you know, if this is the type of person that you choose to be, then this is your fate. Kind of what's it, irony. So there's something like that in there as well. Let's keep going. So the deer is coming through, the deer and truth. If again, it feels like stumbling over a truth, like walking past, again, a bit like Akateon, like stumbling across, they're telling me Sleeping Beauty. So again, it's like maybe stumbling across someone who's sleeping, you know, walking past a room and seeing someone sleeping, but having this almost like a light bulb moment, or a moment of truth, a moment of clarity, a moment of realization. This is kind of like the news coming in. It is a card about honor, truth, clarity, news, yeah, light bulb moment. So the deer stumbling over the sleeping princess in some sort of way and recognizing a truth. And then the maiden and the empress, funnily enough, is coming through with the Knight of Swords. Now, again, this is exactly how this came out. I haven't set this up at all. Excuse me. And the Knight of Swords is somebody who's taking action. They are a messenger. They are delivering news. So it almost feels like the maiden or the empress is delivering news to the deer, right? It's like the deer is receiving the information. However, the empress appears to be doing it in a way that they're doing it through meditation or through sleep, which is fascinating to me. So I only pulled these this morning, but when these cards came out last night, I did a meditation where I purposely like tried to find myself in that setting with this deer and to try and get more information out of this. I didn't really receive any visions or any further information, but I felt a scratching on the side of my head, which is, I used to feel very, very commonly when I first started meditating. It's almost like somebody doing this on the side of my head, and it kind of feels like my skull's opening up on the right hand side. So I don't know if that is particularly symbolic to anyone, but again, maybe somebody's had some kind of operation on the head with the swords and things like that. It could be something like that, like, you know, like being put into an induced sleep so that they could have some kind of operation perhaps on the head. Again, that's not going to be for everybody. I'm just kind of throwing it out there. It could be that somebody's very good at astrally projecting into someone's dreams to give them information. I was getting the name like Elle or Ellie, which again, I'm Cinderella, so I don't know, but it's a common name. So Ellen, Eleanor, Helen, could be anything like that. We also have this Queen of Wands at the bottom as well here, who's very, very, it's an aspect of the Empress. So again, somebody who knows what they want. They're very passionate, very confident. They go out and get what they want. They take action to get what they want. So any of that could make any kind of sense to you. Just to kind of touch on Lay of the Land a little bit more. Again, Capricorn had this thing in their reading about, it was like an elephant walking around in circles, and they were kind of almost like digging themselves into a trench in some sort of way, where they, because they were just kind of putting one foot in front of the other, they couldn't see the purpose of what they were doing. But they had this little friend with them who was like a little bird. Now, birds and animals that take to the air represent air signs quite commonly. So it could be that, Aquarius, you are the little bird who is the friend of Capricorn, and you are able to kind of take a higher perspective where you can actually see the steps that Capricorn have been taking, and the elephant being a symbol of ancestry, right? Of like kind of like shouldering burdens, ancestry, family, tradition. Like they'd been kind of like stuck in some kind of loop, and I feel like you're the one who can see the point of this. You're the one that gets that higher perspective where you're like, I can see the bigger picture here. I can see the patterns from this outside perspective. So do take that as it resonates, leave it if it doesn't. I think the only thing left to say was something about being good. Like, no matter what happens, I'm going to be good. So again, this could be through meditation or something like this. It's like, whether with or without you, I'll be good, right? It's that kind of energy. I did channel actually a couple of songs, so let me just grab those. All the songs that come through will be in the description box below, but I specifically channeled two. I Wonder Why by Curtis Steiger. It's that I wonder why I hold on with tears in my eyes. He's saying love is a hunger. So again, it kind of ties into Cappy's reading. Look, love is a hunger that burns in my soul, but you never notice the pain. Love is an anchor that won't let me go. I reach out to hold you, but you push me away. You always convinced to stay. So again, it could be some of you who've had some kind of rocky relationship. Someone that is like really difficult to let go of. The other song was But I Do by Clarence Frogman Henry, which is I don't know why I love you, but I do. I don't know why I cry so, but I do. I only know I'm lonely and that I want you only. I don't know why I love you, but I do. I can't sleep at night because I feel so restless. I don't know what to do. I feel so helpless. And since you've been away, I cry both night and day. So it's like, again, it's that kind of like waking up and realizing that you love someone and you can't be without them is the way it's coming through. Oh my goodness. Okay, I'm just going to kind of like take a pause, take a break and check in with a couple of different things and get ready to kind of pull you some cards on camera and we'll see what you get. What's making me laugh is I literally just tipped these cards out and you've got the poet and the creator and there's the lovers there at the bottom. It feels like, and the queen as well. Like, I don't know, that's very Aquarian energy to me. Right, okay. So I'm using the archetypes, Wild Unknown Archetypes deck first. I'm a little bit distracted because the venom. I told you it's like poisoned apple or something, but you can extract the venom, right? Now I'm thinking about the mythology of Odysseus, Odysseus's wife Eurydice. On their wedding day, she was bit by a snake, which is what killed her. I'm just thinking, like, again, of Capricorn's reading, they had this whole thing about, like, going to the underworld, right? Doing, like, the 7 labours of Hercules kind of thing. And Odysseus is one of these characters that I feel like Libra had this as well, of, like, going into the underworld and kind of, like, doing that hero's quest. It's interesting, this idea of, like, the hero's quest. You had... there was a play on words after, sorry, that's my daughter letting me know if I have to if I have to go and get my son from school or not. Let me just check that text. Okay. she's on a school trip. She says, sorry if I respond slow, Wi-Fi is bad on the couch. She means coach. Okay, yeah, I'm probably gonna have to cut this a bit short and run and get my son, so I'll try and be quick. But yeah, there was a play on words between Capricorn's reading and your reading, again with this idea of like almost like Morpheus, right? And Morpheus and like poppy seeds and things like this, and pain relief and sleep and all those kind of associations. There was a pun on the word, like, I'm talking about the counterpart to hero, like a hero and a heroine, but the second of those two words, if you think about it in terms of like poppy seeds and that kind of thing, there was a play on words between the two different words, right? They're spelled differently, but they sound the same. So there's something about... I don't know, there's something with that. Like, I can be your hero, I can be your heroine, right? I can, like, love as an addiction. Again, very Ovidian, if you look at Ovid's poetry. Okay. Okay, the Mystic. Okay, let's grab the book. Yeah, I may have to take a quick break and run and get my son from school, so I am ever so slightly distracted. Again, maybe anything that happens in a reading is part of the reading. Maybe you're a parent, maybe you're like, I'm going to watch half of this now, get my kids ready for school, and then watch the other half later. The Seeker, the Light Worker, the Dreamer. The Dreamer, the Maiden is the Dreamer. So if you, again, this could be you, right? Or somebody that you connected with, maybe a daughter. I'm hearing niece for some of you. The mystic is often misunderstood in our culture, depicted as a wandering or light-hearted daydreamer. Makes me think as well of the character, if any of you have been watching House of the Dragon, and again, I'm not going to do any spoilers, but there's a young girl in that she reminds me a little bit of like Luna Lovegood. She's kind of got that kind of dream-like quality to her, you know, like a little bit not quite on the same plane as everybody else. Okay. Yet, like Shiva, the true mystic plays a critical role in society, remaining fearlessly dedicated to the path of transformation in order to save the earth from darkness. Shiva swallows the poison of the world and holds it in his throat. Shiva, slowly transmuting the liquid into nectar. That is fascinating. This is the work of the mystic. They do not fear darkness, but rather sit in the presence of it, harness the potential and latent energy behind it. No wonder I was getting that play on words. And embed it with light. They are patient and prudent change makers, seeking growth above all else. Unanswerable questions are the mystic's lifeblood. I'm getting head to toe cold goosebumps. Not like spirit bumps. Sometimes I get spirit bumps. This is like cold goosebumps. The mystic revels in mystery, in the great riddle of life, dancing with the forces of life, like light and dark upon its wings. When light, remover of darkness, visionary and ageless. When dark, expects results, seeks attention and recognition. Go deeper. Zen koans, poetry, Murakami novels. It may seem that the mystic is inward-facing, yet its light beams back to the world with the strength of 1,000 stars. And what are you? You're the star in the tarot, right? I've lost the star card, but you are. The strength of 1,000 stars. Like any light worker, the mystic must build a relationship with fire. This begins by awakening their inner flame or tapas within. I want to read the poison because the poisons are, you know, again, it's so funny because I was talking about like Romeo and Juliet, right? And the poison apple. It's like taking something that's toxic and turn it into it's like transmuting the darkness into the light. So there is a transmutation energy here. So, right, so we saw the venom card, right? The poison card. So the poison, the cure, the curse, and the toxin. Much to our dismay, the venom is always lurking in the shadows in one form or another. Its toxic presence may be found in our relationships, thoughts, speech, or environment. Thankfully, the cycle of purification and detoxification comes so naturally that it's built into our very exhale. We breathe out carbon dioxide and the plants return it to us as oxygen. I am absolutely surrounded by avocado plants right now. I keep making them, but then they grow into big plants and I'm like, what am I going to do with you? So it's like a little jungle around my tarot desk. Archetypal venom is rarely remedied as easily, however. And it can come in archetypal energy, right? Ancestral poison, like the poison that comes from in like things that are inherent in our society that we take as granted, right? It's like the things that are, you know, the grain of society that everybody, you know, like agrees upon, even if they have never really thought about it. So it could be like viewpoints and opinions that actually when you hold them up to the light, and question them in a kind of Socratic way, you know, there's no substance to it, there's no backbone to it, it's just a true opinion rather than genuine knowledge, right? Archetypal venom is rarely remedied as easily, however. I just feel like Aquarius are friends to Capricorn at the moment, where Capricorn are absolutely like stuck in that karmic trench. It's like the Aquarians are like the friend who's saying, look, see this from my perspective, see this from an outsider's view, like look at this from outside of the box and see how you're like trampling the footsteps that of the path that's been laid out to you. You can go a different way, right? It is possible, but you have to be able to see that you can go a different way first. Archetypal venom is rarely remedied as easily, however, and it can come in potent forms and quantities that are deeply damaging to us and to the world. When the venom card appears, there is a harmful substance in our psychic realm that must be identified. Perhaps your words have a sting of poison about them. Perhaps a relationship is slowly draining your reserves. They had that thing about like the hunger. In Cappy's reading. Acknowledgement is the first step. Change is the second. The remedy will reveal itself in time, and with it forgiveness. When light, self-realization through suffering. When dark, unwilling self-realization through suffering, right? And that is 100% like what Cappy's had. They had this whole thing about like it was coming through like a fate worse than death. And it was talking about, as an example, some kind of situation where perhaps somebody was addicted to something. And again, it could be like alcohol, right? And the weight of that addiction. And it's an illness, remember, right? It's a medical illness to be addicted to something. And you know, there's people as well who, you know, they could just drift away, right? In the grip of whatever that thing is that they have purposely taken, right? It's like they could pass away in the grip of that and slide off, right? Slide off the mortal coil. But it's like because it was coming through with a fate worse than death, it was talking about those people who have that's really special quality. I'm gonna cry. That really special quality and that kind of strength that is where they survive addiction, where they constantly have that hunger for the thing that they were addicted to, but they don't cave into temptation, you know, and like to live with that, you know, the people who have like done the whole AA thing, or, you know, or even like surviving toxic relationships where they could have given up. Like it's a really special kind of strength, you know, and Cappy was really coming through with that kind of energy of like having those hardships and having those heavy burdens in so many different forms. I'm not saying every Cappy's like addicted to something, but yeah, like I don't know, that reading really sat with me. Self-realization through suffering. And I was thinking as well earlier on about, you know, the depiction of like Hades, or, you know, the underworld, where, you know, is it Sisyphus? I may be mixing up the characters. There's a guy who's got to roll that boulder up a hill like time and again, and it's like, this is my burden to bear, was the way it was coming through. When dark, unwillingness to find a solution or forgive. So again, that unwillingness to, it's almost the stubbornness that comes with, this is my burden to bear, you know, and not recognizing that there's a different path, or there is help available, perhaps. Go Deeper, A Poison Tree by William Blake. And again, that thing about Adam and Eve, right? If we're talking about the virgin and the innocent and the maiden, and the apple, you know, the poisoned apple, excuse me. Right, okay, I need to keep going. When you harm another, you harm yourself. Keep this in mind. This goes for our earth as well, with cosmic consequences. When you harm the earth, you harm us, right? You harm us as a collective. The spreading of venom is like a chain reaction. When we strike others, it's likely because we ourselves have been struck. Break the cycle, right? If you're talking about ancestral, right? Ancestral learned behaviors, right? Ancestral patterning, ancestral... again, it could be like, you know, you come from a family where your granddad has always had a horrible opinion of women. It's like, oh, all women are temptresses, like they give you the poison apple and they get you addicted, and love is a drug, and like, I don't know, like, you know, all women are, you know, WHORE. You had that, you know, you were going through. I remember that coming up a lot in readings. Not saying that that's your perspective, but recognizing that those perspectives exist and it's inherited. You know, you can talk about like cycles of abuse, or like people who come from violent families who learn that that's how you solve conflict, by repeating the actions of your elders. You know, like that, you know, if someone says something bad to you, you hit them. You know, it's like that mindset, because you've never been taught any different. So being open to being taught that there's different ways of you know, not everybody's the same, and there are, you know, we're all on a different path here on earth, and there are different ways of being, there are different ways of existing, and breaking that, which is what I want to say that you're doing as that kind of higher perspective figure, as the light worker, as the friendly bird, right? With that higher perspective, you are transmuting that kind of inherent societal, traditional, bred violence into something that's pure and light. So I really need to read this quickly, and then I'm going to take a break while I go and get my son, and then yeah, and then we'll kind of come back. And like doing this through love as well, you have the Lovers card, so doing it through the heart space, through relationships. And it doesn't have to be a lover, right? It could be a just somebody who shows you love and kindness when maybe you feel like you don't deserve it. And again, excuse me, Aquarius, I feel like you are that character that does that. So the nectar, this is what you're transmuting the poison into. It's like the kiss that wakes Sleeping Beauty up again, right? Or the kiss, you know, the kiss that breaks the curse, or the kiss that it's almost like sucking out the poison, which, ew, but, you know, the medicine, the elixir, the garden. In Hindu mythology, there is a miraculous substance known as amrit, or nectar, that contains infinite healing power, which I think infinite healing power comes from the heart, right? And you remember, you're the star card, so this is inherent in your energy, the ability to do this. This golden nectar, or sacred elixir, is the drink of immortality, and like its sister substance, soma, is known to activate subtle intelligent forces that ease the mind, body and spirit. Though esoteric, these images lead us to the central energy of this archetype, the sweet, potent, heavenly essence that lubricates our spirit back to life. Wake me up inside, right? That idea of like, wake up. Wake up, wake up. Did you have that like Doctor Who a while back? And let the cloak of life cling to your bones. It's like coming alive again, waking up to love. It's so beautiful. The nectar calls us to identify and relish in places, practices and people and activities that regenerate and heal. So maybe you're setting up some kind of like regenerative group, you know, like a community group where people who are victims of trauma or addiction can go and have that safe space to heal and to share and all those kind of lovely things. Medicine is needed, and it comes in the subtle form that you may be overlooking. Seek the most sensuous, fragrant flower in the garden you have forgotten. Don't underestimate this remedy. It is said that when someone has activated this substance within, it's reflected in their shimmering eyes. So maybe somebody has very like doe eyes, you know, big like doe eyes. It's funny as well, when I was doing my makeup this morning, I've got quite big eyes. I do have like baby doll eyes, which look, I have that shape of eye, and they kind of turn down slightly at the edge as well. So I do have slightly doe-like eyes, and they are the eyes that you think of like a young, like innocent girl, right? Even though I'm like old. But I was looking at my own eyes and like thinking though, like you look into them and like it's like now, I'm not being a big head or anything like that, but maybe a little bit, there's a bit of ego there. But it's like when you actually look into someone's eyes, like deeply into their eyes, as I was doing in the mirror, it's like you see into the soul, right? And you see, it's like you have a glimpse at their Akashic records or something like that. It's like, so it's like you, with the maiden and the deer, it could be a similar thing where it's like somebody has a very sweet, and I don't think I look particularly sweet and innocent. I think I definitely have a smirk on my face 90% of the time and an eyebrow raise. But it's like something about the eyes, about a person who has very sweet, innocent eyes, but perhaps looking into them, it's like you glimpse an old soul, right? So it's like this idea of like Peter Pan energy, someone who's young and old at the same time. Could be Pisces. Pisces has that quality. All right, I'm gonna have to go and get my Pisces son from school, and I will come back and finish a reading. I'm sorry to have this break in the middle, but it may be good actually for me to just kind of refresh. I'll be back soon. Okay, Aquarius, I'm back from the storm. Let's keep going. So funny to me because my daughter's just been on a geography trip, and she was saying that they were measuring erosion of like footpaths, like as people walk along like certain routes, like the erosion of the land. So funny to me how tarot works sometimes. Okay, so I also got a song for you. I was asking for songs, or a couple of songs, like as I was walking up there, and there was Numb Encore by Jay-Z and Linkin Park, which talks about being so numb, like wanting to be more like themselves and less like somebody else. So it's kind of like that biting at the chain kind of thing of wanting to be more true to the self. And like, I always think he's talking to a dad, but I don't really know actually who he's talking to in that song. Like when I say he, I'm talking about the lead singer of Linkin Park. Like, you know, those lines specifically, the Linkin Park lines. Lincoln as well, Linkin Park Memorial. That could be something for somebody. Oh, I don't know if that was confirmation. My phone just went. They're showing me like the top hat, so there could be something about top hats. What's this? The Fool could be doing something with an Aries. Could be taking a bit of a leap of faith with something. Okay. So Aquarius energy. What's going on for you at the moment? What's the center of this reading for you? What's going on? What's going on, Aquarius? Oh, also Best Friend by Kesha. Like, talking about my best friend, can we just hang out tonight? So it could be that you've got a best friend who's particularly like a Sagittarius. You've got the Queen of Wands twice. Queen of Inspiration in this deck. I'm using the Muse Tarot. It feels quite Aquarian to me today. So this could be somebody who's quite musical. It always seems to me like she's playing the right notes, right? Or she's doing something perhaps energetically. Maybe this is something like somebody who is a healer. You know, like... what's the energy healing? I can't think what it's called now. Not tantra, what's the other word? But you know, people who work with like either like vibrations or crystals and energy to kind of like heal the body or heal the spirit or heal the mind. You could be like, you could be friends with somebody who does things like that. Even something like a massage therapist. I was kind of getting foot massages a lot. Foot massages and maybe acupuncture. I was kind of getting this thing about like something sharp on feet. So again, it could be like somebody who does like acupuncture. That could be something for somebody. Yeah, Queen of Inspiration. So this, if this is talking about you, it could be talking about your own confidence, your own creativity, like wanting to express that creative part of yourself, that experimental, like passionate, fun, vibrant, charismatic part of yourself. So it could be talking about what makes you feel that way, what makes you feel empowered, so again, take gender out of it. No matter how you identify, like what you identify in terms of like sexuality and gender, that inner feminine that we all have, right? Because we're all yin yang, right? We're all a mix of lots of different signs, lots of different placements in our chart, and each like star sign is either masculine or feminine in nature. Again, there's some gender stereotyping going on with that, but I have to explain things to you with words. So I'm not talking about like men and women, I'm talking about energy. There's a difference. So the inner feminine energy, right, that resides in all of us, empowering that in a way that you feel confident in expressing the more feminine aspects of your nature. I want to say the inner queen, right, wanting to come out. Maybe some of you are like you know, you like wearing drag and things, like drag kings, drag queens. Three of Inspiration, there could be a decision that's made there in regards to that. Okay. What led Aquarius here, please? What led Aquarius here? Yourself, your ability to look at things from different angles, to look at a situation where you felt like you were juggling in some sort of way. It felt like you were walking a tightrope. It felt like you were doing some kind of balancing act. I feel like you could have been, I think I mentioned like robbing Peter to pay Paul in Cappy's reading, or Sagittarius's reading it might have been. But this idea of like something that is perpetually kind of rocking you from side to side in a way. I'm really seeing it as like tightrope walking, because of like this here and then like this here. You can see if you look closer, there's like something there. So it's almost like you were walking a tightrope in some sort of situation where it's probably metaphorical. I assume most of you don't do tightrope walking. Excuse me, I need to you had me, sorry, it was a sneeze. You had me burping before and now you've got me sneezing. Again, like maybe that's the thing. It's like some kind of situation for you that was in really delicate balance, right? Almost like walking on eggshells or tiptoeing in some kind of situation where it's like you were trying to keep things stable, you were trying to keep things balanced, you were trying to give your energy equally to like different people or things that were demanding your time and attention. I'm hearing like careful, like almost like carefully tending something, right? So you were doing this, and I feel like there were things where you were almost trying to be knocked off balance in a way. So it's like you're already in this situation that felt like you were delicately kind of tiptoeing through and trying not to become unbalanced. Maybe it's talking about your own inner balance, your mental health, something like that. And it's like all these roses are falling, so you're trying to, it's almost like somebody who's trying to collect like falling flowers in two baskets, right? But you're trying to, what are those kind of computer games, you know, like almost like Space Invaders, you know, where like things are coming down, but it feels like almost like maybe playing a computer game where you've got two mice, like a mouse in each hand or like a joystick in each hand, and like you're trying to control two different baskets as things are pouring down and you're trying to collect them. So I don't know what I'm seeing there. I don't know if that's actually something that you've been doing. You know, like these little apps, like phone apps. But feeling off balance, right? It's because it's like all your attention is on the things that are falling down. All your attention is what's coming down from the sky, right? So it's like all your attention was up here. So I feel like there was a situation where you did fall off balance, right? It's like you dropped everything. Like, again, maybe you became unbalanced in terms of like your inner equilibrium, your mental health, your it's kind of like it has the feeling of like a mini breakdown or a temper tantrum or something like that, maybe confirmation there, where it's like you drop the ball in some sort of ways, the way I'm seeing it, right? So it's like all of a sudden you took this tumble where you didn't fall all the way down, right? It's like you didn't really hit rock bottom. It wasn't the end, right? There's still, you're still, like your knees are still hooked over that wire. So yes, you fell, and yes, you dropped the ball, and you didn't just drop. So it could be a situation where you were juggling two or more different things, and is because you became so off balance, you dropped everything, right? It's that feeling of like, I got so overwhelmed with that situation that I couldn't do any of it. It's making me think of the other night my son was doing his homework, but he'd left everything till the last minute. So he had loads of math homework to do. He had like an English assignment to do. He had a geography assignment to do. No, geography? I think it was geography. And he became so overwhelmed, right? He didn't know where to start because he couldn't do everything all at once. So he was like, with that overwhelm, with that like too much stress, he was like, I can't do any of it. And I was like, right, we have to do it step by step. So maybe this is where like the Capricorns are coming back in with the one step at a time, right? So I was like, we'll do like what is due tomorrow, what's due first, we'll do that now, and then like tomorrow night we'll do the next one, right? So we like broke it down, and he didn't even want to get started, but I kind of like went down and sat down next to him with the tablet, like with the first question up, and I was kind of like, I was reading out the question to him, you know, like anything to kind of like break it down into baby steps to just like take that initial movement forward. So he answered the question, I typed it in for him, and then within a few questions he had the tablet and he was doing it himself, right? So it's like I didn't do it for him, but I enabled the process for him. I made it easier for him to get started, to get the ball rolling. So it has that feeling of like almost like having too many responsibilities, or you've agreed to too many different things, and you know it got so overwhelming that you couldn't do any of them. It's like you had to let everything go, right? You had to drop everything, and I don't even think you did it intentionally. I think it was like an accident, you know, just all of a sudden you found yourself unable to continue doing whatever it was you were doing before. Kind of like if you overwork as well and then you get sick, right? It's like the universe is like, nope. But in doing so, right, in falling down, you had a different perspective. So no longer is she kind of like looking up and not looking where she's going, like she's not looking at her feet. It's like all of a sudden you saw what was below you in some sort of way. Look at these pyramids, these three pyramids. It's like all of a sudden you saw like your world, your life from a different angle. which gave you a new perspective, which has actually made you feel more confident. It has the feeling of, you know, sometimes when your fear gets the better of you, but then when you actually encounter your fear, it's not that bad. So it's like, I can't drop these burdens, I can't drop these responsibilities, because if I do, that's it, that's the end, right? But then it's like you do drop the responsibilities, and you know, the thing that you were fearing happened, and you were like, do you know what? I actually got back on my feet, and it wasn't that bad. It wasn't the end of the world. And so now I'm not scared of that anymore because I survived it. Do you see what I mean with the Queen of Inspiration? It's like you found through tripping over something, through dropping the ball, you gained a new perspective, which has brought you more confidence. Okay, so tell me where this situation is currently heading. Okay, which way, please? Tell me which way. I'm not sure, actually. Yeah. Okay, so I feel like with that Queen of Wands energy, you're more ready to take on new challenges. The Five of Inspiration is conflict, it's challenges, it's competition, right? So it's like if you felt before that you didn't have what it took to take on some kind of project, to enter some kind of race, to put yourself out there and really kind of be seen and you know, go for things. It's like now you're entering the race. Right? Now you're not afraid to fight for what you want. What's the obstacle, please? Oh, God, the cards. The obstacle could be some kind of mother for you, the Empress, your own inner Empress, your stability and anything that threatens that. The Empress, the Ten of Materials, and the Wheel. So the Ten of Materials is something solid that you've built up for yourself. So it can indicate some kind of business. It can indicate your home, your family, your wealth. Normally it's shared with other people. If it was the Nine of Materials, it'd be independent, right? Independent wealth, independent prosperity. So it's like, it doesn't mean like being rich, but it means like having your own bank account with the Nine of Pentacles. Ten of Pentacles is like shared bank account, right? Or, you know, having a mortgage with somebody else, or you know, having something like a workplace that multiple people are invested in. So it does have a tangible monetary type of value, but it does represent, I want to say sort of like whatever you've built for yourself. So if you've built something with like a wife or a mother, like some kind of like stable home, the challenge is, the challenge seems to be understanding that situations change, you know, lives change, unexpected things happen. Some days you're up, some days you're down. Just noticing like this ring. It feels like there could be some kind of situation for you where the obstacle, now if the Empress is you, it's like you are the center of the universe to a group of people, right? It's like I'm seeing the Empress as this tree, right, with this ring of people around them. It's like you're the hub of a community, or you're the matriarch of the household. And it's like it could be that if you were to change, it would change an entire system, like an entire environment. So again, it's like maybe like if you decided you were going to live your life differently, but you don't even have to be like the boss, right? You could even be something like the PA or something of a company, where it's like you're the glue that keeps that whole company together, right? Everything revolves around you in some sort of way. Or this person, again, this could be like a mother figure who everybody has to answer to that person. It's like everything seems to be connected to this Empress in some sort of way, which is natural for Empress energy. Empress energy does touch a lot of people. But if you were to change, with the wheel symbolizing change, like this system that's dependent on you would also need to change. And that appears to be the challenge, especially if there's something in the future coming up that you want to go for, that you want to put yourself out there for, you know, something that you really want to like fight to achieve. With that newfound confidence, it's like, how will this affect the other people in this kind of like microcosm of an environment. What is your strength? What's your strength right now? The Emperor. That's fascinating. So again, this could be talking about your own divine inner feminine and divine inner masculine. But I want to say, I don't know if this is two separate people for you, like if this is somebody that you're dealing with, or if this is somebody that you're dealing with. If this is you, it's like, but that's your strength. Your strength is the fact that you are this leader, that you are a symbol of authority and strength and leadership in some kind of environment. That is your strength, right? So even though it's the problem, it's also your strength, which actually makes it more problematic in a way. It's like you are steering the ship. If this is somebody around you, then your strength is this character who is coming through with Emperor energy. Doesn't have to be a male, it's a female on this card. But it's somebody who is, it could be an Aries or a Taurus, it doesn't have to be, but it could be like a husband, a boss, a father. It's somebody who has a huge amount of authority, natural leadership qualities. They are very, very experienced. They've really earned the right to be in the position that they're in. But yeah, this is somebody who, with a lot of responsibility, a lot of authority, a lot of if this is somebody that you're connected with, this is somebody who could perhaps make things happen for you or to get you connected in some sort of way. It's like, if you ask this person, they will probably have the answers and they will probably be able to help in whatever way you need help, right? It's like the all four kings. So the King of Pentacles, right? They can invest money. Or if they can't invest money, if they don't have money readily available, they've got those practical skills. They know how to build that money up, right? They know what to do, right? King of Swords, this person gives great advice. They could be very knowledgeable. King of Cups, you know, they'll understand the emotions of the situation. They'll understand the social implications of a situation. King of Wands, you know, they've got those leadership qualities. They've got the, you know, the charisma to convince people of things. So really, if this is somebody that's on your side, that is a brilliant that is definitely a strength. You want to have the Emperor and the Empress on your side. These are the energies that can make something happen. The Sun card, yeah, a lot of potential here. The Empress is an energy of potential. The Sun card is an energy of potential. Like, things can really happen here. What is Aquarius's blind spot, please? What does Aquarius not see? The Magician in the side on. So it feels like, again, this could be somebody around you who has that magical quality of making things happen, right? That magical quality of bringing the right people together to really make a dream come true. But I want to say it's an aspect of you that you're not actually realizing. It's like, you are the Empress, you are the Emperor, you are the Magician. These people all carry the same energy. They just utilize it in a different way. So where the Empress is all four queens, the Emperor is all four kings. The Magician uses all four suits of the tarot, to, I'm sorry, there's a dog barking, that could be significant for you. Maybe you've got a dog, maybe it's barking at the moment, maybe barking dog. Does that mean when somebody's a little bit mad, like when somebody's like barking mad, like barking dog? I don't know. Yeah, but they have all these different, like fire, water, earth, air, right? They've got all the tools of the tarot, everything they need to make something happen, to make dreams a reality. So the Magician takes the ethereal, right, the dreams, the ideas, the wishes, the aspirations, and they turn it into something that's practical. Now remember, you've got that Mystic card, right? The person who's taking the bad and turning it into good. So it's like you have the ability to bring in this change. So if you're waiting for change, you have the ability to manifest it or actually tangibly create it, right? It's like you are an instrument of change, just like the Empress or the Emperor would be. So again, this could be your parents. Like, you've always relied on your parents' authority or your parents to take to give you the answers or take the lead, when it's like you are a child of both of these energies, right? You are created from the same stuff. So why would you give your power away to these people if you're fully capable of utilizing those energies for yourself? Kind of like, I don't know, like Harry Potter, right? Harry Potter being like, my mum's this brilliant like witch, my dad's this brilliant wizard. I guess I don't have to do magic then. Right? It's like, no, actually, Harry, you're gonna be this fabulous wizard, right? It's like you're the best of both. So I don't think you see that about yourself. I don't know if you realize that about yourself. And again, I don't know what your relationship's like with your parents, but anyone that you've got up on a pedestal, especially in terms of masculine and feminine energy, you can really utilize this from within yourself. You can find it within yourself. What's your fear, please? Aquarius' fear. Moving on. Temperance, moving on. There's that kind of pyramid-y thing again. This idea of like falling and hurting yourself. It feels like you're afraid in some way with temperance. Temperance is, again, this idea of alchemy that the magician holds, this idea of like taking what's available and transforming it or transmuting it into something new. But that's your strength, right? This is the whole point of this reading. Your ability to take the poison and convert it into the nectar, right? To take the bad things in life and turn it into something that's healing. It could be talking about something cathartic that you do, where, again, this idea of like having a group, right? Perhaps like creating a safe space where people can talk about their trauma, or people can talk about their addictions. Like, it's like running an AA meeting or running some kind of like trauma counseling or support group. It's like people can come to this group and like really find that safe space to open up and talk about their pain, right? But in doing that, you're actually transmuting that pain into a supportive shared experience, right? There's healing that happens in that sacred space, right? And this seems to be what you're recognizing. So it could also be like you're drawing from those dark places to create art that could be healing for others. So we always talk about like people who, you have the poet, right? People who write poetry from the pain because people find catharsis in that. People find you know, it's like looking in a mirror, sometimes reading a piece of poetry or a book or watching a TV show where somebody's going through the experience that you went through. Yes, it hurts because you relive that experience in that moment, but it's also a shared experience between you and the character on the page or the screen or the song, right? It's like you, yeah, sorry, I'm getting like, you know, like A Song of Ice and Fire, and I sing of, what is it? I sing of heroes or something like that. What is it, like this? You know, like the start of the Odyssey and the Iliad and the Aeneid. It's like I sing of men. I sing of men. So it's like your life, your story, your song, and understanding that you could be at a very pivotal point where you're recognizing that, yes, perhaps you've been a victim of circumstance up until now. Perhaps you spent your life feeling like you were walking that tightrope, where perhaps you were juggling the expectations of others. And every single moment, every breath you take, right, every moment that your heart beats is a moment to create change. It's a moment where you can choose to inspire. You can choose to rewrite your future. But you're afraid of moving forward, or you're afraid of finding the balance, maintaining the balance as you move forward, as you embrace change, as you embrace your future, as you embrace an ever-changing world where the unexpected can happen. But I want to say, doing it in a very temperate way where you're cautious. Santara talks about this card when it comes up in Santara's reading. She says it's like a makeover, like the shock, right? The shock of, like, if you've ever done that. I went when I was about 11 or 12 when I went to high school. I had like hair down to my bum, which you very rarely cut, right? It was very, very long hair, and I had it chopped off into a bob. So it's that like that moment of looking in the mirror and almost not recognizing yourself or looking very different. And I've got face blindness too, so like when people change the hair, like I sometimes literally cannot recognize them, especially if I recognize them by the hair. So, but it's like that moment of like transformation, like looking in the mirror and seeing someone different looking back at you. You know, that thing I was saying about looking in my own eyes. So maybe for some of you, it is to do with your own identity. It is to do with perhaps gender stereotypes, because that's been coming up throughout this whole reading, and understanding that you're not a stereotype, right? You're not a label. You're not a peg to be neatly slotted into a certain box, if you excuse the euphemism. You're an individual. You are a unique person, like a fingerprint, right, in this world. You're not a neat little square box to, you know, and it doesn't matter if people don't understand you, because it's easy perhaps to, is that my door? Hold on. No, I don't think it is. It's easy, I think, to there was a card on the floor, if you just noticed that, it was the Three of Voices. So like turning blue into something beautiful, right, to quote Lana Del Rey. So yeah, it doesn't matter if you're misunderstood. It doesn't matter if people are confused by how you choose to identify, and it doesn't have to be gender, right? It could be, you know, you've been playing the role of a mother and you want to go and play the role of a CEO. It's like, there's a change happening in my life. There's a change happening in my own energy. There's a change happening in who I am and who I want to be. You know, this phase of my life is over and I want to embrace these new opportunities. Doesn't matter if people don't understand that. It only matters if you understand yourself, right? And maybe you don't fully understand yourself, but you're willing to experiment and embrace the change and feel your way through into those future situations. And I want to say that Spirit is helping you and supporting you and guiding you to avoid the kind of like the sharp pain of falling down, right? Because this seems to be a fear in the way, the fear of falling and hitting. Can you see like the three, I was noticing these three spikes, and then it's interesting that was on the floor. It's like the painful thoughts, right? So who or what is available to help Aquarius at this time? Who or what is available to help Aquarius at this time? I'm getting Best Friend by Kesha and Rabel. Calling up my best friend. The moon, though. What's helping you? The moon. Let's clarify. The moon. It could be a Pisces or a Cancer. It's Pisces' card, but Cancer's ruled by the moon. There's the star again. There you are. It feels like could be a sibling. Six of Cups can be sibling. It can also indicate children. It can also indicate soulmate energy. But there's an energy around you where there's emotional equality. It can also talk about the past and nostalgia. But I want to say there's a person around you where with the moon, it's like you connect on an intuitive level, right? It's like the way that you feel, this person also feels the same way. Like, it doesn't have to be feels the same way about something, but it's like the way their heart works, right? The way that they feel their way through life is very similar to you. You've connected on that kind of level. It's like, yeah, I just feel like kind of like almost like Romulus and Remus, you know? Like, I mean, that's a bad example because the twins kind of like murdered each other, right? But like, no, Castor and Pollux, you know, like Face Off. It makes me think of Face Off. They're probably bad examples. But this is the energy that's available to help you at this time. Could also be like confusion about memories. Like your own confusion about your own memories, your own... lack of clarity about the past could actually be helping you in some kind of way. It's hard to read, that one. Hopefully it makes sense to you. And what is the advice, please, for Aquarius? What is the advice, please? Thank you. If you've been, and it does feel like you've been avoiding the sharpness, right? And again, this is something that I say with a lot of caution, because I'm not a counselor, right? I'm not trained to counsel anyone. I'm not a psychologist or anything like that. I'm just reading the cards. So do trust your own inner guidance, right? If you've got support systems in place, trust those. But there seems to be a message here about feeling the pain. Just like the triangles, like the 5 of emotions is grief, it's crying over spilt milk, it's disappointments, emotionally feeling disappointed, emotionally feeling sad that a situation didn't work out. So giving yourself the time that you need to really feel that, right? Really understand what those feelings mean to you, why you're feeling them. Where I do feel like you've been desperately trying to avoid it, desperately trying to do anything you can to avoid it because there's fear surrounding it. But it's like, once you do that, once you go through the pain and the conflict and the facing the differences of opinion, it could be like, it's like, especially if this is part of yourself that you're revealing that not everybody's going to agree with. It's like when you really accept the disappointment that you don't see eye to eye with somebody, when you grieve a situation where you cannot resolve the conflict, right? You cannot resolve those differences of opinion. Like when you push through that, not going around it, not going over it, not going under it, like that poem, right? That kid's poem, that kid's story. Like when you go through it, that's when you reach the healing, right? And the emotional independence. So don't avoid the pain. Interesting that Empress had like the heart pain. Oh, look at that. Yeah, it's like you've got to feel it. Like you've got to... Obviously, don't do anything that's like physically going to hurt you. Swords represent thoughts. Thoughts, fears. It's like saying what has to be said as well, like communicating. You've been really avoiding, really trying to get over that, or I don't know. Where is this leading, Aquarius, please? What's the outcome if Aquarius follows the advice? You've got a lot of conflict here. 555. That's, you've got like all the 5s are bad in tarot, really. It's just, I mean, there's nothing good or bad, but thinking makes it so. So it's how you, everything's just energy, right? It's how you utilize it. It's how you approach it. It's how you transform and transmute it, which is what you're doing, right? You're turning the pain and the poison into something beneficial and beautiful. But you can't do that if you don't really understand it, and you don't really, if you refuse to look at it. Ooh. Justice card popped out there. Strength. Yeah, you're going to build strong. You're going to have the strength to take action. You're going to have the strength to say what needs to be said and do what needs to be done. Again, you've got the sense of like best friend or a companion, like a soulmate, somebody who's connected to you at a soul level, who makes you feel confident, who brings you that confidence, who brings you that strength, or brings that inner lion out of you. But yeah, you're going to, just noticing as well, like all this fire energy, right, with the pyramids. I have been getting North America a bit. I was kind of getting Kenya a little bit for somebody. This is making me think of Egypt. I want to get you some advice. I'm actually going to go with this. This is Shaman's Dream. Is there any advice for Aquarius in this deck? Is there any advice for Aquarius in this deck? Maybe they want me to go back with this. So back to archetypes, animal unknown archetypes. Any advice? Sorry, no, they're actually showing me. I know I've dropped those. I'll show you what they are. They're showing me this deck, so give me a second. Thanatos, that's annihilation, endings, death, destruction. Understanding that things change, the wheel turns, that death is a part of life, as is being born, right? So it doesn't mean literal death. It means things ending, phases of our life ending, things falling away, things that are no longer necessary to us for our own growth and physical development, mental development, emotional development. The kiss, Eros. They're giving me a kiss on the hand can be quite continental. Diamonds are a girl's best friend. The crone. So you had the maiden, the mother. Now you've got the crone energy. Really like a wise older woman. You know, she's learned a lot of lessons. The riddle. An unanswerable question. The riddle of life, you know. I watched a video yesterday about, it's called the God paradox. I don't know if you're familiar with the term the God paradox. If I remember, I'll link it in the description box down below. But yeah, I don't know. Take any of that as it resonates, leave it if it doesn't. Advice, please, for Aquarius. Advice, guidance, anything else to think about? There we go. The light. Beautiful. Beautiful. Gorgeous. Good to have Leo energy in your chart. You could be dealing with a Leo. It could be lions. Again, North Africa. Where is the guidebook for this? What have I done with it? Animal spirit. There you are. Okay, the lion. Your own leadership qualities. Recognizing your own leadership qualities, especially if you've been giving your power away to the emperors and empresses in your life. You know, recognizing that you are the magician, you carry the same energy, you have the same tools at your disposal. You know, yeah, okay, sometimes you have to build up your finances, you know, or find ways to do that. But, you know, especially in this day and age where you can like Google anything, right? There's so many tutorials of how to do anything you want to do. There's probably a tutorial on the internet somewhere. Patience, patient, regal, a complete master. The lion is a master of the fire element and the living mascot of self-transformation. Again, with this theme of transformation and metamorphosis. A lion personality dedicates their life to personal and spiritual growth. This dedication inspires some and intimidates others. Therefore, the lion is respected by all but unknown. No, sorry, I don't know why I'm reading it wrong. Therefore, the lion is respected by all, but known intimately by a few. Some mistake the lion as hard to access or aloof. Why is this feeling? I know it's Leo, right? It's feeling like Capricorns again. You've got a lot of Cappy energy in this reading. Some mistake the lion as hard to access or aloof. And Aquarius as well. People say this about Aquarius energy. Yet those with a keener eye know better. Lions are observant, stealth, and precise in their words and actions. They do not waste energy or resources. This card reminds us that self-mastery is available to all, no matter where our quest begins. Yeah, our quest begins. So again, just because you're not born with a silver spoon in your mouth, right? Just because you are, you know, maybe you do have social disadvantages, like socio-economic disadvantages. You know, there's plenty of people who are born into a certain lot in life. They're born into money, they're born into connections, they're born into good looks or fame or fortune. Yes, and that gives them a huge advantage. But though, you know, you can find examples of people who are given every single step up in life, every single advantage possible, and they can still fail miserably because they don't have, you know, what it takes in terms of their spirit to inspire or to have drive or ambition, or, you know, to seek things in life, to seek joy, to seek, you know, some people seek self-destruction, you know, despite being given everything. And yet there's people who are born with nothing, you know, who are born at such a disadvantage where, you know, life has been really cruel to them. And yet they turn this into drive. They turn this into determination. They turn this into a fighting spirit that, you know, creates an empire. You know, there's people who create brilliant lives from themselves that have the most heartbreaking backstories. So don't forget that it's really who we perceive ourselves to be, and how good we are at spotting the opportunities from outside of the box, right? From outside of a lot in life. And really standing up for ourselves and saying, no, this is what I want and this is what I'm going to do. Okay, so when in balance, the epitome of peace and strength. And that doesn't mean knocking down doors then, right? It doesn't mean you have to do it in an aggressive or destructive way. It just means that you know what you want and you know what you need to do to get it, right? And you have that confidence in your own name. I love that phase. It came out again in the Capricorn reading a few weeks back, where it's like the confidence they have in their own damn name. Honey and glass, you know, that's not what it means to be honey and glass. You know, it doesn't mean never being sad. That's a beautiful song. So yeah, I don't know. To bring into balance daily meditation and friendship. So we've gone full circle back to the Empress meditating, the Empress at rest, the Empress exploring her inner kingdom. So make sure if you do have meditation practices that you maintain them, that you remember to opt in each day. And even though that can be a struggle, right? If you miss a day, that's absolutely fine. Do an extra 10 minutes the next day to make up for it, you know? For those of you who don't meditate, you know, maybe look into it. Yoga, meditation, breathing exercises, you know, and stick with it for a couple of weeks, and you might be really quite surprised at kind of the very early benefits that you get from doing that. All right, I hope this video was helpful to you. I'm going to get you a song on camera, and then I shall say goodbye, and I'm going to go on social media and pester my friends. Give me attention. Where are we? Sin versus Secret, Sin and Secret by Charlotte Lawrence, the acoustic version. I love this song so much. Charlotte Lawrence, she's an amazing singer. I think I love every single one of her songs, and I think she's a Leo actually, and she really has that brilliant quality that a lot of singer-songwriters have, of being able to tap into their emotions, the pain. God, I'm feeling that. And you know, the bad things that happen, the embarrassment, the failures, the frustrations, the desires, the hunger, you know, all those different things, and they create something cathartic and emotional and beautiful out of those horrible moments. And it takes someone very brave, right? Again, this Leo energy, somebody with a huge amount of bravery and confidence in their own voice and experience to be able to share that with people in a way that, you know, other people can connect with and be like, I'm not alone. There's a huge amount of power in that. So this beautiful song, the acoustic version as well, she says, wait, I'm having a moment where I've got to choose if I want to go or stay, right? The obstacle. And I'm overflowing. I hate that it's detrimental to my mental state. Am I overdosing? I know that I love to cry, but that don't mean I'll justify the last few nights. Yeah, I'm stuck inside this state of mind where you can be the sin and I'll be your secret. Everything is steady if we keep it. I'm hanging on to the thrill, babe, if and when it'll kill me. Oh, you can be the sin and I'll be your secret. Taste the blood on my lips from the words I wish I'd say, but they go unspoken. I crave to get out of this limbo before I go insane. Got me screaming out your name, saying, yeah, repeating. It's so beautiful, and like just speaking the words doesn't do it justice. Like if you've never listened to that song, listen to it. She's got the most beautiful voice. Like I follow her on Instagram, and like her whole, like, you know, the artistic vibe that she has to her Instagram, which is kind of rock and roll, kind of reminds me of like Kate Moss a little bit in kind of like rock and roll supermodel days. But like the art style that she chooses, like her whole vibe is so artistically beautiful. Yeah, I don't want to be your little secret. So beautiful, beautiful song. Right. I hope that's helpful to you. Check out the description box down below where you'll find a list of songs. You know, there might be a couple extra on there that I forgot to mention. Something might jump out at you. It may be a name, it may be a phrase, it may be something in the music video that reminds you an experience that you've had. So spend a little bit of time poking around in there if you want a little bit more from this reading. I hope it was helpful to you. If you haven't subscribed yet as well, I really appreciate everybody subscribing. I think when I get to 500 subscribers, it means that I unlock certain features on YouTube, like being able to run polls and make community comments, and I'd really like to be able to do that to interact with you all a little bit more. So while I don't normally count, you know, I actually really like our little small group. I really like those of you who've been supporting me for a while, and you know, you kind of quietly come in and stealth watch my readings. Like, I like that my YouTube channel's small. I like that it's just a little group of us, right? All kind of like quietly helping and healing each other and sending lovely energy each other's way. But yeah, if you haven't subscribed yet, just getting to that 500 benchmark does give me those new opportunities to be able to interact more with everybody. And like, again, I know that not everybody wants to like leave a comment publicly and things like that, you know, because tarot talks about things that's really private to us, but being able to like run polls, it's a little bit more incognito. So like being able to do that and give you the chance to vote on like what type of reading I do next, or you know, what kind of spread I do, like that's really good feedback for me, and it lets you do it in a way that's kind of a little bit secretive. Not that you have to be my little secret, so if you want to leave a big loud public comment, you go ahead and do that. All right, do take care of yourselves. I'll see you again soon. Bye friends.